In this video demonstration, I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful, simple card with this really clean but modern stitched and dot and hole area with the flowers on, all made by just using the JND550 dotted lines, the outside frame maker and the inserts. We haven't used any of the centre, it's just the frame we've used to make this, and we've added matching flowers with the stitched dogwood and the stitched vine leaves. So let's see how this card is made. So to start making this card, we're simply going to use the JND550 dotted lines, and we're going to use the outside frame, and we want to add the inserts in here. The inserts in here are quite beautiful. The inserts are little lines that give you stitched lines and little holes cut out and punched out. So they're perfect for creating just a simple little splash on a card where you want a sentiment and a flower perhaps. But I'm going to show you now how we put them together. So I want the first layer in white, so I've got a piece of our coconut white card here, and this is our essential card. And all you want to do first of all is to tape your die roughly down. I'm using obviously the Craft Artist low tack tape. So I'm just going to tape it roughly in one corner to keep it fixed. I then start with one of the inserts, place it into place, take a piece of tape and cover over between the frame and that piece. I do exactly the same with the next piece, which is a long side piece. Then I want to make sure that they match up. So as you can see, this one has gone that way in. So I want to rotate it to be the other way and tape that down. And again with the other one, it's gone in that way. So I want it to go that way on this one. And it doesn't matter, you can have them all heading the same way or whatever you want to. So all we have to do is simply tape those down, and then we run that through our die cutting machine. So that's gone through my die cutting machine. I'm just going to peel off the frame, and like that you can use that again just like that. Take the center panel out. So if you want things exactly the same, you can leave it taped together and cut frame after frame after frame, or separate it out. We're going to separate it out because what we actually want on the back of here is we want to actually have a plain colour, and that's what's so fantastic about the FrameMaker dies. Is if you were doing this with separate dies, you would need to match exactly for the plain colour, whereas all we need to do is to take a plain blue. I'm just going to slap that down anywhere on there and run that through our die cutting machine, and that will give me, I've actually already got this cut here, but that will give me there the perfect blue piece. Now, all you may need to do is just pop out all the little pieces. Everything will come out perfectly. But you see, you get that beautiful stitch detail and all the little bubbles. Great if you want to make sort of underwater backgrounds and things. So I've got one here that's already had the areas popped out of it. And you can see, when we pop it on the blue, not only do you see the blue through the circles, you see them through the stitching, because the stitch lines have been created as cut lines as well. So it's not just a deboss. So I'm simply going to give that a light spray with a spray glue as it's speedy. I'm going to put those two together just like that. And that way you can see I've got the perfect frame with white with the blue bits in the centre. So now I want to create the middle, and I'm just going to use exactly the same die set. So I've got a piece of card here cut slightly smaller at 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, and I'm going to take just one of those insert dies, pop it down along this left hand side and run that through and cut it, and it gives me a perfect piece like this. Just absolutely simple and clean. As I said, little sentiment, little flower, and there's a card made. The whole idea of the John Next Door collection is that you can break each die set down into individual pieces to use them in hundreds of different combinations. So I want to put a piece of blue behind. I've gone for a little bit of marine blue this time, and I'm just using a scrap from cutting a previous frame. So again, a little bit of spray glue on the back for speed. You can just use your glue glaze or your normal glue. And I'm simply going to glue that down just like that and turn that over. And so I want to frame that. So I want to use a little bit of foam tape to make sure I get the right depth and dimension. So here I'm using 10mm wide, 2mm deep foam tape. Just gives me a nice little bit of shadowing without making it too deep to post. So we'll reveal our foam tape. And there we go. And we can then frame our little stitch dot detail perfectly in the center. And then I've got a blank card here that I've got that's sort of 5.5 by 7.5 to give me a little bit more drama. I'm just going to take some of our super tacky glue and glue the main piece on, so around the edge and a little bit on that blue piece there, so we don't want that to move. We then pop that on. So there's the basics and basis of our card made, and then it's up to us how to decorate it. I'm going to use some of the dogwood flowers, so I've made some up in that dark blue that I've used just there, and I've also cut out some of the matching vine leaves which have got the same size of stitch detail through them, and I've got a large and small left and right in each of those, and they've all just been cut in our silver gloss card. So I'm simply going to use glue glaze to pop these on, just adding a little bit. Let's grab a fresh one. There we go. Just a little bit on the back of each leaf. This is really useful for gluing down your delicate die cuts, but also perfect when you're using things like gloss or satin card, as you really don't want any of the glue to go on the front, and they do need quite a good strong glue to hold down. So I'm going to take my foliage and just attach that down, coming from that central piece. There we go. And let that come across the frame. So we get that little spray. And I'm going to pop one of the smaller ones just there. I'm going to hold off on the other small one until I've put my flowers on to make sure I get them in the right place. And to add my flowers, a cocktail stick and the Craft Artist 3D glue gel. And all I do is take glue onto the end of the cocktail stick, pick up the flower and squidge it in. Allows me to then move the flower till I'm happy, press and pull out the cocktail stick. So just like that, turn it over, squidge that down, pull out the cocktail stick, and that way I get the flowers exactly where I want with no gluey hands or anything. Let's put you just there. And then the extra leaves, I just want to tuck them in under that flower there, so they're just coming over slightly. As they do, leaves grow over the flowers. But a really clean and simple card made just using 2 colours of blue and 1 colour of white and 1 die set, which is the JND550 dotted lines 4x6 FrameMaker. Beautiful card, really simply made. For more ideas, hints, tips and inspiration, why not visit the John Next Door official page on Facebook.